What are the honest pros and cons of living in Vancouver, Washington? Hey, welcome back to the Living in Vancouver and Camas, Washington YouTube channel. I'm your host, Hannah Dubyne, and I'm really glad you're here today because we're going over updated pros and cons for living in Vancouver, Washington. Now, I've made this video before, but I'm making it again because things change and we want to update those pros and cons. If you're new to the channel, we're really thankful you're here. Subscribe and sign up for our Weekend Happenings with Hannah newsletter. We send out fun events happening in Clark County every single week. And of course, if you need help selling or buying a home professionally in Clark County, myself and my team at Dubyne Realty Group would love to serve you, so contact us down below. All right, let's talk about pros and cons of living in Vancouver. I'm gonna start with the pros because I'm a positive person, but of course, no place is without its faults. So we have cons as well. I will touch on those second. Let's get into it. First pro I wanna talk about is our diversified economy and our plethora of jobs. There are a lot of areas in the country where the economy is overly reliant on one sector. They're reliant on industrial, or maybe in the Midwest, they're reliant on healthcare. Maybe in Florida, they're reliant on tourism, hospitality. Perhaps in California, they're overly reliant on tech. Well, here we don't have just one sector propping up our economy. We have a little bit of everything. I don't have statistics to share with you on this. I think it's just something where you come here, you live here, and you see it's very evident we have all different types of jobs. We have lots of in-person jobs, but we also have a lot of people who work from home these days as well, which is something that people love. A lot of our clients work from home, so great to be able to work from home and reap the benefits of Vancouver, Washington. Second huge pro of living in Vancouver is that we don't have state income tax. If you didn't already know, we are one of 9 states in the United States that doesn't have a state income tax. If you're from or currently sitting in one of our neighboring states, Oregon, or 2 states down, California, you pay state income tax, and you probably pay a lot if you're in one of those 2 states. So we've had a lot of folks reach out to us over the last 5 years and say, you know, our tax bill for the state's looking really high. We don't really know what we're getting out of it. We'd rather live somewhere that doesn't take 10% of our income off the top. This is especially smart for high income earners or maybe dual income households where, you know, if you make $300,000 a year, hopefully you're not spending all $300,000, you're saving a good amount of that, you're living below your means. And that's where no state income tax makes a lot of sense. Of course, we do have a sales tax in the state of Washington. It depends on what county you're in, but it's, you know, around that 8.5% to 9.5% mark. And then we do have excise tax when you sell properties. That kind of makes up for some of the lost revenue of state income tax. But overall, no state income tax is a nice thing to have. The third huge pro of Vancouver, Washington and Clark County is that we have amazing nature and trails. This is something I took for granted growing up in the Pacific Northwest. There were trees around me all the time. We could always drive, 5-10 minutes away and there was something cool to see, something to walk on, but it's really amazing here in Clark County. We obviously have the Columbia River, which is beautiful to look at. That's more of an urban thing, but still fabulous. We have Vancouver Lake, which is surrounded by trails and parks that you can take advantage of. We have 𝐿acamas Lake and 𝐿acamas Park, Round Lake. That whole thing has a lot to do. You could be back there all day if you want to. We have Molten Falls, Multnomah Falls. Those are kind of the big ones. I'm looking at right now this book next to me, Urban Trails. They make these for all different parts of the country. This one's for Clark County. And I end up giving these out to a lot of people because they're like all the main hikes in our area and they're super small. You put them in a backpack. So check out the Urban Trails book if you haven't already. Fourth huge pro of Vancouver, Washington is that we're the least expensive housing market on the West Coast. Now, the best data I have to share with you on that is that our median sales price right now in 2024 is about $535,000. $535,000 for a single family home here in Clark County. If you go up to Seattle, Bellevue, Olympia, Bellingham, Everett, those are like the main markets. They're right on the coast. They're all more expensive. I don't know the exact numbers. I didn't pull them for you today, but they are all more expensive. If you go down south, even to our neighbor 10 minutes over the river, Portland, their median sales price is higher than $535,000. And then of course, if you go to California, all those major markets are much more expensive, some of them even getting over $1 million. If you want your home purchase budget to go further, Clark County is an amazing spot to be. My fifth huge pro of living in Vancouver, Washington is that people get along. Again, no hard statistic or hard data to share with you here. It's just something I've noticed over the years. Overall, we're not a super politically charged area, I would say. It's pretty 50-50 split down the middle. We have a lot of different lifestyles here, a lot of different things that people are into, and I would say people are just nice. One of the things me and my team hear over and over again, when people come up and meet with us and they're visiting to possibly relocate to the area is, everyone here has been so nice, Hannah. People smiled at me in the coffee shop, they held the door, they said hi to me at the gym or wherever they were. They talked to me at a restaurant. I stopped and talked to strangers on the sidewalk. And I just love to hear that. That's what communities should be like. We shouldn't ignore each other. We shouldn't always be scared of strangers. And I guess that's a little encouragement to those of you who already live here. Remember to smile and just say hi to people. It makes the world go round. The sixth awesome positive thing about Vancouver, Washington, I want to share with you is that we have new development. Now you might be saying, Hannah, I don't like new development. I think new development sucks. That's fine. We can all have our opinions about it. Obviously, development can be done well or it can be done poorly. But we know that if you're not living in an area that's growing and evolving and changing, you're probably living in an area that's shrinking and dying, has a shrinking and dying economy. I would rather live in a growing economy. I don't know about you. I'd rather live somewhere where things are changing positively. And that's what's happening here in Clark County. We have lots of big new developments such as the Vancouver Innovation Center. We did a developer interview with Mark on that, so go check that out. The developer on that project is awesome. The Palisades, Columbia Palisades in Vancouver and Camas, right off 192nd. Huge development here for East County. The Vancouver waterfront, we've done multiple videos down there, go check those out. And then we have other developments coming up soon, the Ridgefield waterfront, Parker's Landing in Camas, Washougal, and other ones. So I'm really excited to see how they turn out. We know that when we have new developments, we bring in new jobs, new economic prosperity, more tax dollars. It's all a good thing. On the note of new development, I wanted to share some statistics with you of our area growing and expanding. This was my last pro for Vancouver, Washington, last big one. And that is that Clark County thinks we're gonna add about 200,000 residents in the next 20 years. That's a lot considering right now we have just over 500,000, somewhere in that range. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number offhand. But we're gonna expand by almost 50% in 20 years. That's pretty crazy. So we know that lots of people wanna be here. That's 10,000 people a year we're gonna add in, lots of jobs, lots of economic prosperity. All right, what are the cons of living in Vancouver, Washington? Well, the first one that we can't deny is that it's still expensive to live here. The West Coast is not a cheap place to be. Of course, if you wanna move to the middle of America or the Midwest, you're gonna have a lot lower cost of living and probably a lot lower housing cost. Even though we're the most affordable major market on the West Coast, we are still very expensive. $533,000 is not cheap. I have a video up about total cost of living breakdown in Vancouver, Clark County, Washington, so go check that out if you want to learn more about utilities, other types of taxes, entertainment, and all those associated costs. The second big con that cannot be denied in Vancouver, Washington is that development is getting more dense. Now, I want to add a little caveat here. This is not exclusive to just Clark County and Vancouver, Washington. This is a trend nationwide and especially a trend on the West Coast. But Washington State wants to see us building residential projects more densely and commercial too. Everything, they're just squishing tighter together. Obviously, as we add more people to the planet every single year, we have less land for people because there's more people here. It's unfortunate because we do have a lot of land in the rural areas that could be used. We have an urban growth boundary, so we have those artificial boundaries where we can and can't do things. We obviously have a zoning code here, so you can't just build anything anywhere. We are gonna see more townhomes, apartments, condos, cottage home projects in the future for residential housing, and people don't really prefer those. I seldom have people reach out who want a condo or a townhouse exclusively. Obviously, we sell condos and townhouses and they're perfect for some people, but majority of people still want the classic American dream, which is a single family home. And with each passing year and each passing decade, that goes away more and more and the houses get closer together. Right now, the closest you can get in a common subdivision is about 8 feet. So it would be 4 feet from you to the fence and 4 feet from the fence to your neighbor. Another unfortunate con of living in Vancouver, Washington is that the wildfires are getting closer. Now, I want to be 100% clear, living in the city of Vancouver or one of the surrounding cities, you don't have a true risk of your house being burnt down by a wildfire. They don't come into the city like that. If they do happen in our area, yes, we get some little brush fires on the side of the freeway every summer, and we'll get ones out in the rural area, but I have noticed over the last decade, they're getting closer and more frequent, and that's really too bad. The fourth big con of living in Vancouver, Washington is that we have hotter summers than we did a decade ago. 20 years ago, most people didn't have air conditioning in their homes in this part of the country because we really didn't need it in the summertime. It would be in the 70s and the 80s. Well, nowadays it's more like mid 80s, maybe up to the 90s, a little bit of 70s too, but it's definitely hotter if you go back and you look at those weather charts. Personally, I'm okay with the level of heat. I think it still feels good, but obviously if this trend continues to go on in another 10 years, maybe it's gonna become unbearable. Let me know what you think about our summer weather here down below in the comments. Our fifth big con, this is the last one I had on the list for you guys today, is that we live on the ring of fire. We live in an area that is earthquake prone. When it comes to natural disasters, this is really the only one that has true risk. Yes, there's other things that we have risk for, but like we're not gonna have hurricanes, we're not gonna have tornadoes, we don't have wildfires in the city. It's really the earthquakes. And we don't know when an earthquake's gonna happen. It could happen randomly at any time. I've only lived through maybe one or two, and they've been little ones where you look around and you look at your friends and you go, was that an earthquake? You're not quite sure. I've never been in a big one. I hope I don't have to, but we are overdue for a major earthquake. And if that happens, bad things are gonna happen. Our infrastructure is going to crumble, and we're going to be just in a spot of mass destruction here in the Pacific Northwest. So definitely be prepared for an earthquake if you live here. All right, that's all I have for you guys for pros and cons today. I probably didn't hit on every single thing under the sun. If you have something you want to add, feel free to comment it down below. If you are looking to move to or within Clark County, Washington, myself and my team at Dubyne Realty Group, we'd love to serve you. Reach out to us. Our contact information is down below in the description. We can't wait to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.